Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, he just laughed. I almost made you do a spit take. How did that happen?
I almost spit out my sparkly water.
This guy, super funny comic. You may have seen him on Mythic Quest on Apple TV, and he's got a new special coming out soon. It's my buddy Mort Burke.
Yeah, what's up, Jay? Thanks for having me, dude.
So happy to have you, and it's nice to have a defense of a movie. This is a rare one for me.
Yeah,
because I actually I've never seen this movie, and I unfortunately did not have time to watch the movie before we got it. And the movie is Footloose, 1984's Footloose.
Yes, the dance epic Footloose,
starring Kevin Bacon in a breakout role as Ren McCormick, a teenager from Chicago who moves to a small town and attempts to overturn the ban on dancing instituted by local minister John Lithgow.
A ban on dancing, Jay.
It's an iconic movie just for the fact of there's no dancing allowed in this town has become like one of those things that people just know as a cultural reference.
Right. Yep. And here, okay, so I have a couple things to say about this, which is the title of this invite was Mort Loves Footloose, which is not, I'm here to defend Footloose.
Okay.
I don't know that I would say that I love Footloose, but I do think it's an interesting movie to talk about. And my thesis about this is that because this is a movie about laws over what they do with their bodies, and that becomes terrifyingly more and more relevant with each passing year.
Interesting stuff. Now, this is, like I said, a rare chance for a person who's on this show in a defense position to pitch me on this movie. Because I'll tell you, I've never had a desire to watch this movie.
No, of course not. Why would you?
And I've continued to never have a desire to watch this movie. Now, sure, it's got a great original song in Footloose by Kenny Loggins. They both, and Let's Hear It for the Boy, both got nominated for the Oscar for Best Original Song.
Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't know that.
Yeah. At the 1985 Oscars, they were both nominated against each other. Unfortunately, they lost to The Woman in Bed. Or sorry, The Woman in Red. That's my own eyesight fucking with me. I Just Called to Say I Love You by Stevie Wonder.
One of the rare lesser Stevie Wonder songs. I'm sorry, is that a hot take? I love Stevie Wonder, but that's not.
Do you love Stevie Wonder more than you love Footloose?
I do,
okay.
Many times over.
Also nominated in the same category as Ghostbusters, which is the part of the theme song for this podcast.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Bustin' makes you feel good.
Yes, it does. Now,
yeah.
I have I have no desire to watch this movie. It's got sort of middling reviews. It was a box office hit. It was the 7th highest grossing film of 1984. It received over $80 million at domestic at the box office. Your thesis is compelling. And that's a statement I did not expect to say about a movie that's just about a ban on dancing.
Yeah. Feels stupid, right? And yet here we are. How does one heal a divided nation? That is the question that we're all asking, and that Footloose 1984 dares to posit. And the answer, Jay Light, the answer is fucking dance.
Okay.
And and the answer is a scorching hot Kevin Bacon's denim clad tush shaking all over.
Prominently featured on the poster for Footloose. It's just his backside.
Yeah, his hot little teen butt.
Hot little teen butt in a little bit of some dramatic lighting, some very dramatic 80s lighting.
Yep. So there's a little bit of a caveat to this, which is that, so this movie, so like I said, I love music. My family, my dad has an amazing record collection. He's into he was kind of an original hipster. He loves sort of obscure R&B, tons of old soul 45s, tons of alt country, all this tons Talking Book, Songs in the Key of Life, all this Stevie Wonder shit. As well as Pet Sounds, all the good Beach Boys stuff. And then my sister came in with the Footloose album, which I think was a little bit of a coup, because I'm sure my parents are like, this is trash, this is bad, embarrassing, pop, trap, awful shit.
Sure.
And then we loved it and we danced to it. I distinctly recall doing all these little like choreographed dances to this music. So this music has this weird place in my like life as like, it was really fun for me as a little kid. And I'd seen the movie, but I didn't remember it that much. And I was like, there is no way that this movie is even watchable. So I went in with this thing with like just through the floor expectations. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Absolutely no chance that this is going to be worth your time to rewatch other than just to have a couple, got a couple bops in there.
Even that, I was like, there's no way this is like A, compelling, but I will not even be able to sit through this piece of shit. There's no way. Like Kenny Loggins is it. What I mean, that's a whole other separate subject. He's like McDonald's or something. Do you know what I mean? Like there's this chemical component to his music that is like empty calorie catnip for Americans, especially in the 80s. What with like the Top Gun soundtrack and all that shit, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I was like, I won't even be able to make it 15 minutes to this thing. And then watching it, it is one of the rare movies that you can watch either sarcastically or genuinely. And if you watch it genuinely, it's like fun, and Diane Wiest is kind of a national treasure. And like, Lithgow the dude is a powerful actor, and he doesn't like vilify this character, which is absurd. This like ridiculous dude who doesn't want children to dance, like you sort of believe that he's actually genuine and kind of cares about his kids.
Okay.
Or his daughter specifically or whatever. And the dance scenes are like hilarious and stupid and fun and moving all at the same time.
Now, I could go on all day about recapping through the Wikipedia plot, but as somebody who's seen this movie recently and I've never seen it, give us the rundown. Boil out the cliff notes of how this arc, this powerful message that you have taken from this movie. How did we get here? What happens in this movie to get us there?
Got it. Yeah. So Kevy Kev, young Kevy Bacon. What's his name?
Kevy Bacon. He's practically just Kevin Ham at this point. We haven't even cured this boy.
Yeah, a hot little smoky ham. And his name, you read it. I forget what his name is. It's like out of an AI for an 80s teen star name. I can't remember. But so he comes down right from Chicago, and he wears like this like long David Bowie tie, and he's in this redneck town, and all of a sudden all these like these toxically masculine dudes are kind of fronting on him, and the girls have a crush on him. So then, there's this sort of iconic tractor chicken race scene between him and the main bully.
Okay.
Which is like they're playing chicken on these tractors. And his shoelace gets stuck, so he can't brake. It doesn't quite make sense. I guess it's stuck in the accelerator, like he can't brake or something. So he wins the chicken race. But it's like, it's perfectly shot and edited to where you think, this dude might die, even though there's no way Kevin Bacon is going to fucking be killed in the first 15 minutes of this movie.
Sure.
It does a good job of like it's darker than you think it is. Like there's this whole scene where the bad guy and the girl, she's in a car with her friends driving next to him. She is like hanging out of the car and standing with one foot on his window and one foot on the window of her friend's car, and like standing in the air while they're like drag racing down the street, and a semi is coming towards them.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's crazy, and all her friends like, what the fuck, you get back in the thing, and even the dude is like, oh my god, you're insane, and at the last second she like jumps back into the car. So you're like, oh, this movie is already like has a little bit the metabolism of not like a thriller exactly, but darker than you think it's gonna go. So they're already kind of like threatening the safety of these children.
Okay.
And the other thing I realized about like 80s movies, and I could be wrong because I'm no like cinema history, but I do think one thing that happened in the 80s that was interesting is they started to, this is what like John Hughes did and all these people, they started to take the emotions of teenagers really seriously. So that's,
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate because we start to really embrace with folks like John Hughes, with it seems like this movie, taking teenagers and treating them as human beings.
Mm-hmm. Yes, who like actually maybe have like opinions that should be considered. Which, whether or not you think that's true, it often does make for exciting movies because they're so dramatic. So their world is so dramatic. So you're immediately placed in this very like drama-filled world, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, and you can be like, and you can watch the whole thing, like I said, sarcastically and just like laugh at what a goofball, like how there's a famous dance scene in a warehouse where he does this thing. He's like so mad because he got caught with weed that wasn't his, and John Lithgow's an overbearing, nasty daddy, and he's got to dance it out. And he's got to like, and it's clearly not him. It's like someone who's way more buff and better at dancing, like scooting down through this warehouse. There's like a perfectly situated gymnast like bar that he just happens to find and does like 3 perfect triple gainers off the thing. You know what I mean? Like sweat pouring off of his body while whatever, you know, Holding Out for a Hero or whatever hilarious song is. And it's so funny and stupid and like watchable.
Now, at what point in the movie does this scene happen? Is this the thing that like turns the tide for him? Is this the climax of like the hero's journey where he's like, he's at his absolute low point? This is the dance energy that he needs.
Yes. He's got to dance it out. And that's the thing too. This is also addressing toxic masculinity through the feminine expression of dance. The like Chris Penn's character, he can't dance, and he's like, it's like a secret. He's like, he kind of wants to learn how to dance because all these girls like Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon has said like, hey, I almost hooked up when I was in Chicago because everybody loved how good I was at dancing. And so then Chris Penn's like trying to learn how to dance, but before that, they go to this bar and this other dude starts. It's all dance based, right? It's all.
Of course. We live in a dance based economy in this movie in Beaumont.
Yes, right. Dances are dollars.
Even though dancing is banned in the town.
Yeah, well, they have to go. That's the thing. They have to go over like 3 towns over to dance. And because Chris Penn can't dance, he beats the shit out of this dude. And I think it's a good articulation of like, there's also a fight at the end which negates this theory, which is that like they do end up beating the shit out of the bad guys or whatever. But I do think it's cool that the movie is like, yeah, this whole town is emotionally repressed. And like, what does that look like? Because they can't dance. You know, they can't express themselves through this through movement.
Now, a question that I have that is coming to mind: there are a couple of other iconic dance-based movies that, of course, from the '80s, you can't talk about Footloose, I don't think, without mentioning Flashdance and Dirty Dancing. Mm-hmm. Now, in the spectrum of where the dancing in this movie is in relation to like how it plays in society, versus Flashdance, where it's just like, all right, we're just gonna have some dancing because it's about ladies dancing and trying to break out of her job as a welder, which is inherently ridiculous, but also like it's super fun,
right? And cinematic.
And then from the like the total like fluff piece end of Flashdance to Dirty Dancing, which I think is like a truly like if memory serves, I think that movie is at least like a 4 or 5 star movie in my mind. Of just like, okay, dancing is there, but it's not really about the dancing. It's about the relationship. It's about the core romance, and it's about the problems that stem from that romance. The classic, the reskin of your Romeo and Juliet, but with grinding on each other in a cabin being the the problem.
Right. Yeah. I think what this movie is trying to do successfully or not is to paint dance as political.
Fascinating.
Which is kind of progressive. Do you know what I mean? Like it is sort of. There's like a long history of people kind of protesting through dance or movement, you know?
Yeah. I mean, dancing is a true performance art. And we're not talking Marina Abramovich performance art. We're not talking sitting staring into somebody's eyes. We're not talking weird shrieking in a warehouse. We're talking movement. We're talking the body. We're talking the toll that it takes on you.
Yep.
This is a fascinating take.
We're talking the ability to process emotions like rage, grief, deep, profound grief. Because it's all about grief. Yeah, that's other thing. So the reason that they banned dancing in this sleepy little town is that, fuck, who was it? Oh, I think I just watched this movie, and this says something about that. But I'm pretty sure her brother died. I wish of dancing. I wish the plot was that he danced so hard that his head fell off.
He danced so hard his head. That's a great epitaph, by the way. I would love to dance so hard that my head falls off. If please make that happen whenever I get to my old age.
his beautiful head is dancing so hard, his beautiful head popped right off of his very strong muscular body. But no, I think they went like 3 towns over where drinking was legal, drank, danced, got drunk, drove home, got into a car accident, died in the car accident. So then the dad, John Lithgow, he's grief stricken, and he's taken his grief and turned it into control over an entire town, thinking that he's saving them.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
He deeply believes that this leads to fornication or whatever, misbehavior.
Yes, it's and we're getting into the Music Man weeds here a little bit now. We got trouble right here in Beaumont.
Yeah,
you start out with the dancing, and that leads to the fornicating.
That's right, capital T. Who knows what's coming after that? And then towards the end, the savior, really, in a lot of ways, is Diane Wiest, because she says to John Lithgow, basically, remember when we were young and we looked at each other and felt light and excitement. We were as excited as these kids. And I really feel like there's this story here that is like the patriarchy can't exist without the participation of women. Mm-hmm. And she does a really good job of sort of reminding him. And again, it's just Diane Wiest. She's just fucking great. She you can read her heart in everything that she does. It's like in her eyes, she's the mom and Edward Scissorhands and all this stuff. And so you just believe her. And she helps him to see the light. It's just, I don't know. It's cool.
Now I love to look up reviews of the movies that I cover on the show. And I've got a sort of a mix of reviews here. First, I do want to talk about from a critical standpoint. Like I said, this movie was a mixed bag critically at the time. I have a review here from the late, great Roger Ebert, who gave this movie 1.5 stars. Footloose is a seriously confused movie that tries to do 3 things and does all of them badly. It wants to tell the story of a conflict in a town. It wants to introduce some flashy teenage characters. And part of the time, it wants to be a music video. It's possible that no movie with this many agendas can be good. Maybe somebody should have decided early on exactly what the movie was supposed to be about.
I would argue that Roger Ebert's feet weren't loose enough.
I mean, his description of Ren is the film tells the story of a Chicago kid who has a fashionable haircut and likes to dance, which does seem like an oversimplification.
That's pretty accurate.
There's also, it got some of the people who didn't necessarily like it fully still recognize it as interesting or good, Dave Denby of New York Magazine said, called it schlock dance. Real hard-hitting stuff there. Footloose may be a hit, but it's trash. High-powered fodder for the teen market. The only person to come out of the film better off is the smooth-cheeked, pug-nosed Bacon, who gives a cocky but likable Mr. Cool performance.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yep. He does have a weird face.
He does. But you know what? He's Mr. Cool.
He's handsome. He both looks like he's handsome and he looks like a skull. Is it
fair, I think, in this critique to say maybe part of the problem with the 80s in general is that nobody respected teens anyway. So they're just saying, oh, this movie's for teens, so it's bad. That's what this review, it seems like, is saying.
That's what I'm saying. If they're coming from a place of this music is derivative and shallow and cheap and pointless, I think there's an argument to be made. Kenny Loggins is not Bruce Springsteen. You know what I mean? He's just not. So if that's the place you're coming from, that's fine. But I think this movie does what it's trying to do, which is to be a dance movie about teenagers. And I think, and again, like I said, I think it's more relevant now than ever.
I think, yeah, that's a great point. And I do think there's a lot of people who love this movie, right? I'm looking at the audience reviews besides the critic reviews. Audiences seem to love this movie. This has got a 4.4 on Google reviews. It's got a 4.7 on Amazon. There is one really fascinating 5-star review that I found here on Google that I think is interesting. I just want to know what you think about it. This is from a really bad name, Regitror Auspazing. Clearly a fake name, but this review, real AF. Kevin Backen, Backon. Kevin Backen rocks, and sure was everyone. The main thing is that keep the nonsense apart and the sense in your heart. Heart emoji.
Yeah.
A nice movie. Thumbs up. Smile. Loved it.
I wrote that when I was deeply high on pills.
Oh, you're Regitror.
So please ignore all the typos. That was me.
Do you feel like Regitror's core of this thesis, keep the nonsense apart and the sense in your heart? Do you feel like that's the message?
That's the epitaph. That's the dude. Yes, tattoo that on my upper back.
Upper back.
And Kevin Backen is everyone.
And everyone is.
And everyone is Kevin Backen.
Now here's some other bad reviews from the audiences, and I do feel like this is your chance. You've got the floor.
Yeah,
I would like to hear.
The time has come.
What you think about these people? These reckonings of your opinion here. This is a 1-star review on Amazon from Richard Garrett. Not hot. Believe it or not, I never had a chance to watch this movie on its heydays or later. I saw the video. So you watched it. You just watched it. That's just saying I never watched this movie ever.
I didn't watch it earlier or later or 3 days ago. I watched it 2 days ago.
I, in fact, watched it on May 2nd, 2021 for the first time. I saw the video clip of the last dance scene as the official music video of the absolutely super fantastic Footloose by Kenny Loggins. And I always thought, what a great movie I am missing. And it became one of my bucket list items.
Oh, that's sad. Should be like reconnect with your father.
Man, I got to watch Footloose. Well, now that I watched the film, I feel what a waste of time it was. It really doesn't have anything to present other than the last dance scene. Were we that much stupid in 80s to watch such a shallow movie and really enjoyed it? So good that we passed those days.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it says not hot. I think his whole problem was that the teens in this movie weren't fuckable enough for him. Which is, the kids are not really sexualized, which is kind of impressive. I don't know. I think if this movie was made today, there'd be a lot less like kind of bouncy, joyful fun and a lot more like butts and legs. Not that there's anything wrong with butts and legs.
I see. And this is the thing. I'm reading this guy's other reviews, and it looks like he doesn't really like movies, sort of in general. Like his highest rated movie that it looks like he's reviewed on Amazon is Tenet, which he gave 4 stars.
Okay.
Even though he starts his review by saying many hows and whys unanswered. It's not
hows and whys?
Hows and whys, Mort. Hows and whys. It is not a movie to sit and watch once and enjoy it, which is the downside of the movie. Well, let me watch it one more time and see if I can get a better grasp of it.
He's going back for more.
He still gave it 4 stars, even though he's like, I don't understand a fucking thing that happened in this movie. I don't understand a lick of this.
Yeah, this guy, he might not be a native English speaker, and that's okay.
He also,
it may be a barrier for him to be able to, although probably not. He said, he said it was vapid. And again, like I'm here to hear those arguments. I'm not gonna, this is not, despite me naming this movie for this podcast, I'm not exactly willing to die on this hill.
No, you have to die on this hill now, Mort. Die on the hill or else. I think part of Richard's problem is that he just doesn't like movies that are of this kind. This seems to be, I think, a movie that you can watch unironically or ironically is good either way. There's a certain kind of B movie that you have to be able to make that happen. Like I love Snakes on a Plane completely unironically. I think it's one of the best B movies to ever exist. It sounds like Footloose might be kind of in that vein where it's like you can see the commentary that's happening, but you can also just enjoy it and turn your brain off.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, that's I know. I didn't see Snakes on a Plane, so you feel like they knew they were making a kitschy, fun, like
that's exactly what I think. And I think Richard Garrett, one of the movies that he also has given a 1-star review to is From Russia with Love.
Okay,
he gave this 1 star, said, "What was wrong with my mom and dad?" It is interesting to see what kind of stupid low-level B movies were so popular at the time of my mom and dad. And I think people like Sean Connery were so lucky to be on in that era. The only thing he is not doing is acting in this movie. He's just an animated mannequin, even not a beefcake, for heaven's sake.
If you're starting your filmic review with the sentence, "What is wrong with my mom and dad?" this has nothing to do with the movie. This has everything to do with probably my assumption is abuse and or neglect that you experienced as a child.
I would say that's correct. Now, I've got one final review here, and I never go on Letterboxd for reviews for this podcast because I do think it's, Letterboxd gets a certain, as a Letterboxd user, it gets a certain kind of cinephile who's...
Okay, yeah, got it.
But I did find one really good review of a 1-star review, and I want to know what you think about it.
Yeah.
This is by Andrew/AJ, 1 star. End me, scratch my fucking eyes out. Footloose is a true abomination of misguided, obnoxious filmmaking. The boys in this massively hypocritical town do drugs, fight all the time, and beat the shit out of girls. And the preachers and cops only care about drinking, dancing, and rock music. The thinly veiled homoerotic scenes are hilarious and obvious. Some movies age badly, and this is the worst of them all. A shrill, offensive, disgusting thing.
Okay, wait, will you read the second sentence again?
The boys in this massively hypocritical... Oh, wait, sorry. End me, scratch my fucking eyes out is the first sentence. So then Footloose is a true abomination of misguided, obnoxious filmmaking.
Got it. Okay.
The boys in this massively hypocritical town do drugs, fight all the time, and beat the shit out of girls. And the preachers and cops only care about drinking, dancing, and rock music.
Hold on. Yeah, but that doesn't make sense. I mean, so yes, that's the other thing about this movie is that the bad guy beats the shit out of the lead lady who's his girlfriend, which is, again, way darker, I think, than you think this movie's going to go. Although the 80s were like that. Like, there's, like, domestic violence and, like, Purple Rain and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it sounds like he's confusing sort of, like, he's saying they only care about drinking and dancing. I'm really confused by this. And the homoeroticism, I think it sounds a little homophobic on his end. I didn't find it to be particularly homoerotic, and I was fucking looking, baby.
I think, it's interesting because it seems like this is I think a thing that happens in criticism now that seems evident in this review, even though this review is from 2016, where it seems like people don't like a movie, for instance, right? The movie Footloose, let's say. And because the characters act in a way that they don't like, they then write the movie off completely instead of allowing the discomfort to sit and then see how everything resolves by the end.
Right.
And really feel like, oh, there's been a change in the people in this movie. And we're allowed to have villains in movies who are doing drugs, fighting all the time, and beating the shit out of people. Beating the shit out of women, specifically. I'm not saying that we need to have movies where everybody is acting nice all the time. Right. I don't think that does a service to art. That doesn't do a service to the audience.
No, and I think this movie is saying effectively like these people don't have an outlet. They don't have access to this is what happens when you don't have access to any kind of femininity.
You know what they should have banned in this town was fighting.
Yeah. Or fucking, grieving fathers. Or fucking.
Everybody's fucking in this town and nobody is allowed to dance. So of course you're going to have some bad energetic vibes.
Like it's not that you don't like the guy who beats up the love interest of Kevin Bacon. He's sort of the main, if anyone is vilified, it's definitely him. He certainly is like the most kind of one-dimensional character. If that's what he's pointing to, like, I get that, but I think it's it's speaking to a larger issue, in my opinion, that I don't think this guy's recognizing.
And this is why I brought this up to you. I just felt I felt like you would understand where the wrong was in this review.
And I think that might have been me 5 years ago. I might have said the same thing, and maybe now I've grown a little bit, and with a little bit of age and a little bit of wisdom. A lot of people go to the side of like bitterness. I hate youth, but I'm the kind of person who says, let him dance.
Let him dance.
Let him dance. Let him shake.
That's a good call. Mort, I am definitely going to watch this movie, and I'm definitely going to watch your special, which is coming out soon.
Yeah, March 31st.
Where can we watch it? What's it called? And March 31st, I'm assuming it'll be on all the platforms.
Yes, it'll be on YouTube. It's coming out on 800 Pound Gorilla, and they just put out like Kyle Kinane's special from a little bit ago, and Matt Bronger's and stuff. So
they put out my comedy album.
Oh,
my debut album is 800 Pound Gorilla.
Hell yeah, nice. We're label mates.
Label mates.
Nice. So I'm not gonna explain it to you. Yeah, so it's coming out there. So it'll be on Apple and Spotify, and it's called Spiritually Filthy, because as you heard from this podcast, I like swear words. And I'm also there's a lot of stuff about sobriety in there, and a lot of stuff about living in Chicago. And we shot it at the Yard Theater in Los Angeles, and I'm really excited and hyped on what we got. My buddy J.F. Harris directed it. He's a stand-up you might know.
Yeah,
and
I love JF.
Yeah, he's a great dude. And yeah, man, I'm just really excited that it's gonna drop on March 31st.
Excellent. Well, everybody go check out Spiritually Filthy whenever it comes out. I think you all are going to be big fans of it. And I'm going to take some time before it comes out and watch Footloose on repeat.
Keep those expectations low, baby.
Mort, where can the listeners follow you, by the way, on the socials?
Yeah, just at Mort Burke on everything.
Hell yeah. You can find me at Diet J on all the socials, at Blockbusting Pod for anything podcast related. We're keeping those up even when the podcast's sundown, so you can keep watching clips ad infinitum until something happens and the internet catastrophically is destroyed. Who knows? I've just got some bold predictions for what might happen. We got this blizzard that's about to hit LA. Who knows what's going to happen after that?
Dude, it hailed today. Not to sidetrack the end of the thing,
got driven.
Yes.
I fell into some. I drove through hail. I was on the phone with my therapist, and he was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I'm driving, man. It's hailing in Pasadena. I don't know what to tell you."
Yeah. It looked like it was really crazy. It looked otherworldly. It looked like a snowstorm or something.
Crazy.
Bizarre.
Well, thanks again, Mort.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for having me, Jay. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Everybody cut Footloose. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.